Prior sport involvement and workplace negotiations. Can women develop bargaining skills through sport participation? By Laura Bewcyk and Stephanie Miller. It is generally assumed that women and men differ. Societal expectations of gender depict females as passive, dependent, emotional, caring, and nurturing, while it is assumed that males are active, independent, unemotional, and autonomous. As a consequence, women are generally thought of as inherently cooperative and collaborative, while in comparison, men are viewed as being assertive and demanding. Studies of individual differences have told us a great deal about women's general deficiencies as negotiators. They are less likely than men to ask, less likely to initiate negotiations, less positively disposed towards negotiations, and more likely to set lower goals. Masculine ideals are present in the realm of sport. Sport repeatedly links males and maleness with valued skills, and sanctions the use of aggression, force, and violence. The purpose of this inquiry was to explore how participation in sport may have contributed to the experiences of women throughout a specific collective bargaining agreement. Collective bargaining is a structured process for identifying and resolving conflicts over the terms and conditions of employment. A formalized conversation takes place in order to recognize and compensate academic staff for their work. At the bargaining table, the association's team represents the interests of the members, while the administration represents the interests of the employer. Throughout this process, a series of written proposals are presented by each team. Easier issues are typically resolved first, preceded by more difficult ones. This process requires backroom discussions and compromises by both teams, eventually leading to a final agreement. The participants for this study were 3 women who were part of a negotiating committee representing university employees within an administrative, professional, and technical unit. Although there had been female chief negotiators within smaller bargaining units across campus, this was the first time that a woman was appointed as the chief negotiator for an APT collective agreement. At first, there was apprehension by some APT members. The chief negotiator stated, "I'm known across campus as Miss United Way and Miss Tsunami Relief. I've won multiple awards for my public service. I'm known as the fun, nice one. So when people found out that I was the chief negotiator, I remember Sarah coming to me and saying she had gotten some questions about whether I was tough enough to do the job. She went on to describe her role as the mouthpiece of the operation. Basically, I made the final calls on what got said at the table and how it got said. In the end, I'm the one who signs off on the contract for the group. So in the end, where did the buck stop? The buck stopped with me." The other participants shared similar responsibilities as team members. They reflected that anyone other than the chief negotiator is a recorder. In a way, each team member has their own area of expertise. We all took separate sections of what we knew, and because of each of our backgrounds, we are asked at that point to step up and present the case for our own area. From which point the group would go on to discuss each article and make adjustments. The participants were selected because they had taken part in the most recent APT negotiations. Each has an extensive sports background. They were asked to reflect upon the guiding questions in interviews lasting between 1 and 2 hours. All of the women in this study stated their previous sport participation provided them with an opportunity to practice and develop skills they used in this negotiation. Skills mentioned by the participants included having the ability to communicate effectively, being flexible, adaptable, and loyal to your team, using analytical skills to read between the lines and judge a situation, listening carefully and reading body language, knowing your competition in order to strategize the next move, all while being sensitive to the needs of others. Further, the researchers were able to identify 3 key themes. The first theme identified was ideal skills for a negotiator to possess, meaning that negotiators must carefully listen to what is being said by both sides. They must plan and strategize their team's next move, hide their emotions, and adapt to every situation that develops at the table. The second theme was skills developed through sport. These women learned how to analyze their opponents, show discipline, and exercise their interpersonal skills. Finally, A third theme identified was the women's questioning of masculine and feminine distinctions in both sport and negotiations. The participants in our study identified particular negotiator skills which complement some of the research done on female negotiators. However, they also challenged the masculine stereotype of the ideal negotiator. The women all mentioned the importance of considering the needs of others, which may be interpreted as their way of preserving relationships. Similar to our findings, Carver, 2002, suggests regardless of how women approach the bargaining table, gender has no bearing on the outcome of the negotiation. Future research may examine the use of masculine terms to define negotiators and sports participants. We would like to thank both the University of Regina and the Faculty of Kinesiology and Health Studies for funding this project. Also, we would like to thank our participants for taking time out of their busy workdays to share their knowledge and experiences with us. If you have any further questions, please contact us.